Welcome back to the Small Business Toolbox. I'm Andy Mack and I have been self-employed for a long time. Okay, so you've chosen your business name and you've decided to take the plunge into setting up your own business. Fantastic news. You're going to have a lot to do, so let's crack on. One of the most common questions I get asked is, do I have to set up a business bank account? And this is a decision you're going to have to make pretty early on because you can't get paid by your customers if they don't have anywhere to put their money. So the question is, do you actually need to have a business bank account? Well, I'll cut to the chase. If you ask your bank, they'll almost certainly say, yes, you definitely need a business bank account. But if you ask HMRC, they'll probably say, no, you don't really need a business bank account. So which one is it? Well, I'm going to try and explain some of the pros and cons of having a business account versus just running everything out of your personal account. And later on in the video, I'm going to give you 2 reasons why it is a very good idea to set up a business bank account. But I know you're itching to get started, so let's just have a little chat about the implications of using your personal account for business transactions. Firstly, let's cover off the most basic requirement. If you've set up a limited company, in other words, you're not self-employed, if you've set up a limited company, you must have a separate business bank account. The limited company is a separate legal entity. It's basically like another person, and as such, it needs its own dedicated bank account. You can't use your personal account if you're a limited company. But this isn't really aimed at limited companies, it's more aimed at self-employed people and sole traders, freelancers and all that sort of thing. So if you're just self-employed, can you just use your personal account? Well, the answer is kind of yes, you can use your personal account. There is no legal requirement for you to have a separate business bank account. But like everything in business, it's not quite that cut and dry. First of all, let's briefly cover off the HMRC requirement. A few years ago, HMRC used to kind of put a thing out on the website basically saying you don't need to have a business bank account if you're self-employed, but you have to keep your business transactions separate from your personal transactions. Now, they don't even say that. I've had a good look through the HMRC website and I can't find anything now that mentions anything to do with business bank accounts at all. The general consensus from HMRC's perspective is that if you're self-employed and run a small business, they don't care whether or not you've got a business bank account. All of your personal income and business income all gets lumped together anyway as part of your tax return. So the likelihood is these days you're probably going to have money in loads of different accounts, especially with a lot of the new innovative finance products that are on the market these days. It all comes out in the wash when you do your tax return. Anyway, HMRC generally don't care. The people who will tell you you need a business bank account, though, are the banks, because they make more money out of you having a business bank account. But let me let you in on a little secret. For the last 20 plus years of self-employment, I've just used my personal account for business banking, sometimes with 50 to 100 transactions per month going in and out of the account, and the bank don't care. Not once have they questioned it, even when I had a personal bank manager and they knew I was using my personal account for business use. He kind of said, you should really have a business account. I asked him to send us some information on business accounts. I never received anything. Another 10 years went past. Nothing happened. I would love to know, pop it in the comments below, if your bank has ever forced you into having a business bank account instead of using your personal account. I've never heard of it, but I'm sure there will be people out there who have been told by their bank to stop using their personal account for business use. If that happened with me, I would just open a different personal account with a different bank. There's plenty banks out there to choose from. It's very easy to set up a new bank account these days. Now, I'm not telling you that it's a good idea to deliberately flout the terms and conditions of your bank account. That decision is entirely up to you. All I'm saying is, in 20 plus years of self-employment, it's never caused a problem for me. And really, in the modern age of online payment providers such as PayPal and iZettle and Payoneer, and the whole multitude of other ways that you can now get paid, you could argue the question, is there any point in having a bank account at all? For example, if you only get paid via PayPal, and then you can pay money out of your PayPal account on personal or business transactions, do you need to have a separate bank account? That's a decision that you need to weigh up the pros and cons on. I would say in that scenario, PayPal is your bank account. And I would certainly say from an HMRC perspective that they will assume that PayPal is your bank account, especially if you're on cash basis and you're viewing it as when you received the money. Well, I would say you received the money when it hit your PayPal account. Pop in the comments below if you disagree with that. Or what if you do freelance work and only get paid once or twice a month, often by the same client? Does that really warrant having a separate bank account for such a small volume of transactions? That's a decision you need to make. Now, in the past, when you used to get paid by cheque, and this is probably one of the only reasons I can think of where you would want a business bank account, is so that someone can make out a cheque in the name of your business. But no one uses cheques anymore. Most people are probably going to pay you by online transfer, and to do an online transfer, they don't even need to know the name of your bank. All they need is your sort code and account number. Never mind your account name. The name of your business doesn't even come into the equation. So really, from an operational perspective, if you're talking about a relatively small amount of transactions, say less than 50 business transactions a month, that's just a number off the top of my head, you probably don't really need a business bank account. But, and this is a big but, I'm not saying it's a good idea not to have a business bank account. If you remember at the beginning of this video, I said I'd give you a couple of reasons why I think it's a good idea to have a separate business account. Don't follow my example. And by the way, I've always had separate business bank accounts for my limited companies. I'm just talking about self-employment work where I just haven't bothered. But here's 2 reasons why I would seriously consider setting up a separate business bank account if you're self-employed. First of all, for an HMRC audit. If you're ever unlucky enough to get that phone call or letter from HMRC saying that they're going to carry out a compliance check or they're going to do an audit of your accounts, then one of the things that they might ask for is copies of all bank statements that show any business transactions coming in or out of your business. Well, if your business transactions are hidden within thousands of personal transactions on your statements, you're going to have to be organised to borderline OCD levels to keep track of everything and to be able to pinpoint exactly which transactions on your statements match up to what business expenditure and income. And trust me on this, the more you struggle to prove what's what on your statements, the more HMRC will dig into it. Whereas if you have a business bank account, all you do is hand over a neat set of statements to HMRC, and hopefully that's it, done and dusted, case closed. The second reason is reconciliation. This is especially important if you've got an accountant, and I might do a separate video all about reconciliation. It's effectively where you take your entire income log and entire expense log and you cross-reference every single transaction against your bank statements. It's not mandatory to do reconciliation, but if you don't do it, there's a major risk that you might miss something. Now, if you've got a separate business bank account, reconciliation is really straightforward. All you do is you get your starting balance from your first statement of the tax year, and you get your end balance from the last statement of the tax year. You deduct one from the other, and the difference between them should be exactly the same as your income log minus your expense log. If it's not, you've missed something. And part of the job of a good accountant or bookkeeper will be that they literally tick through every single transaction on your bank statements, and they'll verify that a receipt exists for every single transaction. But If your business transactions are mixed up with your personal transactions, reconciliation is almost impossible because you can't go by that starting balance and end balance, because that includes a mixture of things that you should be accounting for and stuff that you don't need to account for because it's personal. Your accountant will hate you and HMRC will have a field day if you get audited. So, to summarise all of this, no, you don't have to have a business bank account unless you're a limited company, but it's a very good idea to have one. Hunt around for the best deal for your business. Some will favour high volumes of transactions but low income. Some will favour high income and lower volumes of transactions. And you need to weigh up for yourself what's going to work out to be the best deal for your business. Some business bank accounts will charge you a fee per transaction going in and out of your account. I would personally say avoid those accounts like the plague. Some will charge you just a set flat monthly fee. They're better because they're a bit more predictable, and suddenly if you get an influx or a large number of outgoing transactions or whatever, at least it's not going to cripple your business from bank charges. And a lot of more modern accounts are now hitting the market that are completely free and offer full integration with accounting software and have fancy apps and all sorts of things. So check out what's available these days, because things have really moved on when it comes to business bank accounts. Don't let not having a business bank account hold back the initial progression of your business. It's something you can sort out in parallel with everything else, but I do advise you get one set up sooner rather than later. The landscape of business banking in the UK has changed dramatically over the last 10 years or so. The bigger banks have completely lost the plot and lost their grip on small businesses, which is probably a positive thing. There's a lot of really nice innovative solutions out there now for self-employed folk. Do a bit of digging and just see what works best for your business. If you know of some really good business bank accounts for self-employed folk, pop it in the comments below and let us all know. Likewise, if you've had any horror stories of business banking, let us all know in the comments below as well. Remember, if you are thinking of accepting credit cards for your business, if you use the iZettle link in the description below or on the Small Business Toolbox website, then it helps to support this channel and you can get a card reader for just £19 plus VAT at the minute. So if you use that link there, that would be massively appreciated. All the best on your small business journey, and I shall see you next time. Bye bye.